In 1850, a violent storm tore across the Orkney Islands off the northern coast of Scotland. For 2 days, hurricane-force winds and driving rain lashed the coastline, stripping grass and sand from a coastal mound the locals called Skara Brae, a name that at the time meant nothing more than an unremarkable green hill about the beach. When the storm finally passed, a local landowner named William Watt walked out to survey the damage and found the outline of stone walls poking out of the torn earth, walls that had not seen daylight in nearly 5,000 years. What that storm uncovered was a village older than Stonehenge, older than the Great Pyramid of Giza, built by people who had never seen a metal tool. This is Archive of the Ancients, and today we're looking at Skara Brae, a Stone Age settlement so perfectly preserved that its stone furniture is still standing exactly where its last residents left it. Watt cleared out a few of the rooms himself, and then largely left the site alone for decades, and it wasn't until 1924 that another storm damaged part of the site badly enough to prompt a proper government-led excavation. That dig was eventually taken over by the Australian archaeologist V. Gordon Childe, whose careful work through the late 1920s finally revealed the full extent of what was buried in that Orkney hillside. Not a single hut, but an entire interconnected village. Skara Brae was built around 3180 BCE during the Neolithic period, and it stayed inhabited for roughly 600 years, an extraordinary run for a settlement in one of the most exposed, weather-battered corners of the ancient world. It consists of 8 or 9 round stone houses, all linked together by low, covered stone passageways, packed tightly into a mound and half buried in midden, a mix of ash, shell, and household waste that Orkney's Neolithic farmers used almost like insulation. That midden turned out to be the single reason we know Skara Brae in such staggering detail today, because the village didn't collapse into ruin the way most Stone Age sites do. It was gradually buried, sealed, and protected by the very waste its residents produced, like a time capsule its inhabitants built without ever meaning to. The covered passageways connecting each house meant residents could move between homes without ever stepping outside into Orkney's brutal winter winds, an early form of communal design that wouldn't look out of place in a modern housing plan. Step inside one of these houses today, and you don't have to imagine the furniture. You can see it. Each home has a central stone hearth for warmth and cooking, box-like stone bed frames built into the walls on either side, likely once filled with heather or straw bedding that has long since rotted away, and, facing the door in nearly every house, a freestanding stone dresser with shelves, seemingly built to display prized possessions to any visitor walking in. Archaeologists found this layout repeated house after house almost identically, suggesting a shared domestic template passed down for generations, a Stone Age blueprint for what a proper home should contain. Even small personal items survived in the sealed floors: bone needles and pins, gaming dice carved from bone, beads and pigment-stained containers that may once have held paint. It's a level of interior detail almost never available from sites this old, because stone survives where wood, cloth, and thatch do not. The people of Skara Brae weren't isolated survivalists scraping by at the edge of the world. Pottery fragments and carved stone objects found at the site, some decorated with geometric spirals and lozenge patterns, suggest trade contact and shared symbolic traditions stretching across Neolithic Britain and Ireland, linking Skara Brae to the same cultural world that built Stonehenge and Newgrange, monuments raised around the very same centuries, hundreds of miles to the south. Which brings us to one of Skara Brae's strangest mysteries. Dozens of carved stone balls, roughly fist-sized, etched with the same spiral and geometric motifs found in tombs and monuments hundreds of miles away. Nobody knows exactly what they were for. Ceremonial objects? Symbols of status? Tools for some purpose lost to time. They show up across Neolithic Scotland with no clear practical use, only a shared visual language nobody today can fully read. Some researchers have proposed they were counting devices. Others suggest markers of rank passed between community leaders.
And a few have even floated the idea that the patterns encode astronomical observations, but none of these ideas has ever moved beyond informed speculation. And then, around 2500 BCE, the people of Skara Brae simply left. There's no evidence of violence, fire, or catastrophe. Some archaeologists point to a shifting, worsening climate, colder, wetter, stormier conditions creeping across Orkney that would have made coastal farming harder with each passing generation. Others suggest the encroaching sand itself, the same sand that would later preserve the site, may have slowly made the village unlivable, dune by dune, until leaving simply made more sense than staying. What's almost eerie is how ordinary the departure looks in the archaeological record. Some houses show signs of a hurried exit, a valuable necklace found dropped in a passageway, as if someone simply lost it while leaving in a hurry and chose not to go back. It's less the record of a disaster and more the quiet, unremarkable ending of a place that had simply run its course. For the next 4,500 years, Skara Brae disappeared entirely, not destroyed, just erased from memory, buried under the very sand dune that would one day tear open to reveal it again. No local legend remembered it, no map marked it. It simply waited. Today, Skara Brae is one of the best preserved Neolithic villages on Earth, part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site alongside the nearby Ring of Brodgar and the Great Chambered Tomb of Maeshowe, a place where you can stand and look directly into how people lived, ate, slept, and organized their homes 5,000 years ago, entirely by accident of a single storm. But the same sea that once buried and preserved Skara Brae is now trying to take it back. Coastal erosion has crept close enough to the site that a concrete seawall now stands between the ruins and the waves, and conservationists monitor the shoreline constantly, aware that the ocean which sealed this village away for 45 centuries could, within our lifetimes, finally reclaim it for good. It raises an uncomfortable question. How many other Skara Braes are still out there, sealed under sand or soil, waiting for the right storm to finally let them go, or to wash them away before anyone finds them? So, climate, sand, or something else entirely? Let us know your theory in the comments. And if you want more stories of civilizations that vanished without a clean explanation, subscribe to Archive of the Ancients.